Who are we here with?
I'm Jim Whitehurst. I'm the president and CEO of Red Hat.
You travel the world now for promoting Red Hat, obviously.
Absolutely. I've been around the world 4 times so far this year.
I think the big question for our community, NGN, is why has changed Red Hat from Zen to KVM?
KVM, we feel architecturally, is a far superior solution. And the simple reason is KVM is part of the kernel. Right? And as part of the kernel, virtual instances running within the kernel inherit the benefits of Linux. So be that hardware enablement and all the work done by myriad hardware vendors around the world to enable their technical roadmaps in Linux is inherited by the hypervisor built into Linux. SE Linux or grid management capabilities, all of those things can work on a running process in Linux, and a virtual guest is a working process. So architecturally, having the hypervisor as part of the operating system just makes a lot of sense.
So do you still use Zen in a business environment, or is it just KVM?
Oh no, we still use Zen. Zen is the virtualization in Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5, and we will support it at minimum for 7 years. For a lot of customers' needs, it works well. Our view long term is people won't even know the hypervisor. 15 years ago, you bought a separate TCP/IP stack. Now it's built into the operating system. You don't necessarily know exactly what that software running is. And the hypervisor will be similar. So over time, people are going to want that functionality. How that's provided will, over time, be relatively less important.
How are you competing with Novell?
We don't see Novell that often in the marketplace. Obviously, they team with Microsoft, and so some heavy Microsoft users obviously work with Novell. But in general, we have a much broader base of hardware support, of software support. We have kind of the reference standard Linux, and we have excellent service and support. So in general, we compete well and win the majority of the time. Customers are coming from all over. First off, we continue to grow share within our existing customers. Customers will try Linux. They find out that it's more robust and kind of higher performance than they ever thought, and so we continue to grow share. But we get new customers every day. A down economic cycle is great for us because it gets people to try new things. So companies that have been in their comfort zone with Unixes are now all of a sudden saying, well, my budget's getting cut. I can either stop providing new functionality, or I need to start investigating, taking cost out of my infrastructure. The second thing is JBoss, as we've said publicly a couple times, is growing twice as fast as our core business. So JBoss is really exploding, and we feel good about it right now.
And the people that used Unix, aren't they all migrated to Linux yet, or is there still a huge base to win?
Oh, there's a massive base still out there to win. In fact, if you look at some of IDC's numbers from last year, more Unix was delivered to run ERP and CRM applications than Linux. Number of installations. So there's still a lot of Unix out there that's even still being delivered that basically makes sense to be on Linux. So there's still a lot of work to do in the old legacy base, as well as even newer installations. So a lot of work to do there, as well as a lot of work converting Windows.
Lots of people used to know Red Hat from the desktop. Is desktops still a priority to Red Hat, or is it something that you've changed course with?
The enterprise desktop is a key component of what we do, and we have an enterprise desktop offering, and we see a lot of success with that. We don't, from a commercial perspective, compete in the desktop for consumers. We offer one. We have Fedora. It's freely downloadable and it's free to use. Red Hat is successful because we provide a mission-critical piece of software, the certifications to run the New York Stock Exchange. For the typical desktop user, you don't need that same level of bulletproof, 24/7 uptime. So why should you pay for functionality? The functionality is free. So I'm a big user of Fedora at home. Many people at Red Hat use Fedora at work, and that's something that we find to work quite well. If you need 24/7 support, then buy the enterprise product.
And the stock exchange you mentioned, a huge functionality that Red Hat supports is real-time functionality for the operating system, but it's quite quiet for the real-time Linux component of Red Hat. What's happening there?
Oh, we are actually seeing a lot of uptake. The real-time Linux kernel, on average, is slower than the non-real-time kernel, right? Well, the key that you get with the real-time kernel is guaranteed performance. And so for applications that don't need guaranteed performance, it's really not necessarily worth the cost or the small performance hit. For people who need it, it's banks and trading platforms, and we've been very successful there. Most bank trading platforms, banks consider proprietary, and so they don't necessarily want us to use them as reference customers, but we've had quite a bit of success with the real-time kernel.
One of the sectors that is always tight on a budget is our schools and universities. How come they don't use Linux as much as you prefer?
Well, we do quite a big education business, and we provide a lot of software to education. Unfortunately, we obviously don't have the same balance sheet or cash flow that a Microsoft has, and Microsoft understands the importance of building a group of familiar users at a young age, and so quite frankly they can pump a lot of money towards schools that we just as an open source company can't afford to do. That said, we do well because we have a model that we think long term is superior, and a lot of people understand that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck on you too.
I appreciate it. Thank you.